Welcome to a special episode of Let's Talk Business Transformation. Today we're coming to you from the Salesforce Tower where Sean Catlin, EVP and Global Head of Strategy at OSF Digital, sits down with David Brown, Global Senior Vice President and Chief Customer Officer for Service Cloud at Salesforce. Together they explore the rapid evolution of AI, the rise of the Agentic enterprise, and how organizations are scaling service transformation to deliver real business outcomes. Let's get started.
Hi, I'm Sean Catlin, Global Head of Strategy at OSF Digital, and I'm joined here today by the SVP and Chief Customer Officer of Service Cloud globally, David Brown. David, it's great to be here today at the Tower as always with you. Looking forward to this conversation.
Good to see you, Sean. Me too.
Right, so David, let's start off with a really easy question.
Okay.
What does OSF stand for?
Only Salesforce.
Well, it's the best brand name and stands for everything, I think, in our relationship between Salesforce and OSF. So before we get into anything serious, talk about service, strategy and customers, could you tell me what do you think is the most interesting difference in the way that we're operating at the speed of change or whatever it is in the market today?
Yeah, I'm sorry to take it back to service, but you'd imagine I would do. But like for the past 5 or 10 years, it's been about deflection, omni-channel and shifting of channels to save cost, and then generative AI came along, like a once in a generation technology set that dramatically changed everything. And that technology became redundant and out of date within 12 months. So you think about like a generational technology like generative AI becomes redundant in 12 months when autonomous and agentic hits the scene. So we've got like 12 months windows for generational new technologies. And the pace of change and innovation is at a level I've never seen before.
I mean, and you've got a really privileged position in terms of the closeness that you work with customers and the insight that you get to their strategies. And also how closely you work with like the incredible product teams at Salesforce.
Yeah.
What are you seeing as being like kind of the key shifts in this autonomous world that you talked about? What are you seeing as the mega trends there, I guess?
Yeah, well, we just commissioned a state of service report where we interviewed 3,000 of our customers. And it was an AI and agentic version only. And you should read it, Sean. If you've not read it, you should take a look at it. But it was pretty interesting. I mean, obviously, there's this over the past 18 months, there's been a bit of a negativity around how many agentic POCs have gone live.
Mm-hmm.
You know that, you've seen it. You've got your Catalyst process, which is a way of de-risking POCs failing. But we've seen so many people try agentic solutions and not put them into production, and even if they put them into production, not at scale. So I think the big thing that we've seen is in the past 12 months that lack of confidence, the slowness, the failed POCs have gone, and we went from 30% of the respondents that a state of service report saying they had an autonomous agentic service agent live to 79% in 12 months. So I think the big change that we're seeing at the moment and the big trend is that these failed projects, this lack of confidence is kind of going away, and projects are getting live and scaling out in almost 80% of the respondents. So it's becoming a bit more pervasive now, rather than just one or two brilliant brands who've got it to be successful. It's like almost everybody now has got an autonomous experience live within service. So I think that's been the big change in the last 12 months.
Well, I mean, for a start, you've got the most incredible agentic business or cloud, I think, within Salesforce. I think 80% of agentic use cases are in service today in Salesforce. But the partnership that we've been building, I think and the point that you've raised, I think the maturity of the capability, the product teams have been incredible, right? But I also think it's the tri-partnership that we've created with customers in the way that we've established a forward deployed engineering operating model to execute on that. I think we were really privileged to become one of the invited to be the top 10 FDE program globally as a partner with Salesforce.
Yeah.
But I think that's a really important part of that journey the customer's going on, because as you were right, they're learning these new ways of working, they're learning how these capabilities change the way they work in their business and with their customers. I think that's also the combination of those things has culminated in successful adoption and deployment strategies. I think one of the other things is how we've simplified it for customers. Like you have lent in and built fast start programs with customers.
Yeah.
What else have you in that early accelerated deployment strategy? What do you also think or experienced that's super critical? And by the way, I have read the State of Service report.
Good.
It's bedtime reading, right?
Good. Yeah, well, I think anybody that says they know exactly how this is going to work over the next 12 months is probably lying, because it's such a rapidly changing thing and it's hard to make predictions. So I can only go about what's happened,
Mm-hmm.
I do think it's going to change. I mean, so few of our big deployments have been self-implemented. The ones that have been really successful have consumed massively, have scaled out both generative and agentic AI. They've had the same traits that you and I have seen probably for the past 10 years. They've had a strong internal COE,
Mm-hmm.
and I know OSF are great at working with strong centres of excellence. They've had a great partner, and they've had the best of Salesforce. The FDE team or our other product people or SEs. So I think if you get those three things together, we've managed to see great success. But we want to make that even easier, because you shouldn't have to get the very best partner and the very
Mm-hmm.
best person from Salesforce to get the project off the ground. So you'll see us GA a version of our help agent this quarter, where we have a 6-click implementation to get an agentic experience live on someone's portal. And we really want to simplify both how you get started and how you consume Salesforce's platform. So doing lots of work there.
Yeah, and I mean, one of our joint customers, a bank in South Africa, who was the first bank to go live with a service agent in the customer facing in the world, right?
Yeah.
In those early stages, that they did require a lot of leaning in and partnering around. But if you look at how we've built industry agent blueprints with you that accelerate the deployment and adoption of those, that's one key thing, and I know you're doing a lot of that. But I also think it's the learnings that we've taken from it. So, our 12-week kind of fast start package, which kind of in the first 4 weeks gets you live with one use case, which builds the momentum and gets you there, whilst in the background is enabling the COE. And I do agree with you, right? We need to make this thing more enterprise consumable, and I think that's exactly Salesforce's value prop. I think the scaffolding and the harness effectively that Salesforce has built around the frontier models has made Salesforce and those frontier models a lot more enterprise consumable faster.
Yeah.
And taken a lot of the specialism that you still need in specialist partners around those frontier models away.
Yeah.
And I think that's also why you're probably seeing like a much more pervasive adoption through your other clouds now. You've started to activate the Sales Cloud and Marketing Cloud agentic experiences even more.
Yeah.
I think you're seeing a lot more adoption.
I couldn't be a bigger fan of the OSF Catalyst process and program of work, and obviously the people in OSF that deliver it. But I was blown away in that example that you reference. To have 80 people in a room, to pick 4 processes and to go with this fraud agent that had a dramatic ROI within days versus weeks or months or years that it would have taken before is a testament to the people that OSF have got and also the processes that you've built. You're learning and innovating as fast as we are, aren't you? But super impressed with your Catalyst program. Yeah,
I mean, going back to that, I think it's that tri-party relationship. One, you need a great customer, but then the strength of how we operated together in there with the product team from Agentforce in the room with us and operating as one team made it achievable, right?
Yeah.
If you had a traditional vendor relationship, it just probably wouldn't have worked anywhere near to the great level of success that we had. So
I agree.
So thank you for that.
Pleasure.
So David, you know, service is, I think, the biggest cloud in Salesforce, right? With the most seats and the most adoption. But the relationship that we have and how connected the Salesforce clouds are. How important do you think, from a partner lens, it is? Yes, some people may think that only Salesforce is a constraint for us, but actually to have the specialism in all of the clouds that we have is a real strength.
I think one of the biggest mistakes is when you're only focused and specialised in one particular area, because it can often create islands, that aren't connected, that don't bring the power of the end-to-end platform together. But I was in Germany recently. We were just talking about Munich, but I was in Germany recently with Media Saturn, and one of the biggest, like the Dixons, the electronic retailer in Germany, and for years they've sent marketing campaigns out that said do not reply, because if everybody did reply, they could never have the capacity to handle the demand. But they connected their Service Cloud deployment with their Marketing Cloud deployment, which means that their service agents now can answer questions from email campaigns. So instead of saying do not reply, it's like click here to ask product related questions about these offerings. So the service agent was turned into like a lead generation agent, and that's how you turn service professionals and service departments out of cost centres into profit centres. But we could never have done that if we just had a technically proficient Service Cloud partner. Bringing the power of those two together is how we change the dynamic of service being a cost centre. So it's the understanding the power of the platform and bringing that together that stops islands being created and gets the most value for our customers.
So I think that's a good point. You know how much we've invested in advisory to help our customers think about their strategy and how to get the most out of their Salesforce investment and the platform.
Yeah.
Because we've always had a great belief in that 1 + 1 = 3 in terms of the Salesforce clouds, right?
Yeah.
The minute you start to use more than one, i2, it's a multiplier effect.
Yeah.
It's actually 1 + 1 + 1, actually in some cases 7 or 8, right?
Yeah.
And I think to that point, AAG in the UK, which is another fantastic customer for both of ours.
Yeah.
On one side they're a finance company, on the other side they're a fleet management company. And if you look at how they use, we've helped them reinvent their whole business in the whole life cycle, from funding and selling to customers and financing the fleets, to actually delivering full fleet management and in-life servicing proactively, and then using Agentic to spot proactive servicing opportunities so that they can keep vehicles on the road for longer. I mean, it just shows you, I think, how the power of thinking can help companies reinvent, and empowering that with all that delivery as one single experience and you can do that all in Salesforce is pretty groundbreaking.
I think the unique thing for OSF is that you've managed to hire some of the best talent in the market throughout the time that we've worked together, because you bring in the knowledge and experience of some of the best talents in the market to our Salesforce projects.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, we're the largest Salesforce only partner globally, and we've had to, as you know, forward deployed is not a new thing for us.
Yeah.
You look at how much time you and I spend with customers, because you need to get to know them, you need to understand their business, and you need to be always sharing this new innovation that we've always had access to, which is incredible.
Yeah.
But then, to your point, we've needed to invest in a sophisticated delivery model to deliver cost effectiveness. So we built a GCC, and as well as nearshore delivery centres, as well as kind of high focus customer teams. So kind of again shifting gears back to how fast you are now focused on activating customers in these new AI and technology domains, like Agentforce Voice and Contact Center.
Yeah.
What do you feel is talk about speed and all those things. What's really valuable or critical for Salesforce and for customers, do you think, there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's some of the things we talked about, isn't it? Like the repeatability, the process knowledge that you've got. I mean, the investment OSF make into learning our new products. So you've probably got more relationships with the product group than I do, and I sit in the product group, but the way that you invest early, you forward invest in the new technologies is why you are where you are with Agentforce and is why you are where you are with the Agentforce operations. I know you've been so successful with that proposition. So I think the investment you put into enablement and readiness in your people enables you to go so fast because you've done it before, and you're not, for me, one of our big challenges is obviously we're changing from projects being able to, that we might have delivered in years in the past, you're now delivering in days, which puts a lot of fear into a lot of SI organisations because it's kind of like, we used to take 2 years to deliver this and now you're delivering it within a 3-week sprint. But that's where the tech's going, that's where we are, and it's what our customers are expecting of us, and you've jumped on that, and I know you're delivering it in that way now.
I mean, I think that talking about Agentforce operations, that was a really decisive investment that we made to get ahead of that, probably before any other partner. We hired the ex-chief customer officer to run the practice. We got closer to that than anyone. And look, again, I think that's a whole new way of working with Salesforce customers. And we were incredibly fortunate or privileged to deliver customer zero and for Agentforce operations.
Yeah.
And that way of working, like the speed of effectively the proof of value motion, which is when we sat down with the procurement team and we ran that 1-day workshop, and we effectively, built out the process in the room. We took the documents and the process maps, and we not only identified where the agents to fix the problems were, but we built that all in 1 day. And as you know, taking that back to the execs the next day as a fully built out app and business process to support that and execute on that was just blew everybody away. And I think unleashing that in customers now has been incredible, and the adoption of that has been incredible. I actually think now, like as of this month, it's now integrated into the platform. So I think that was going to be another force multiplier, combining that solution with middle back office and around service, because
100%.
It's going to be incredible the kind of pervasive nature of that and the adoption, I think.
Yeah. Well, probably owe you 2 thank yous there. Thank you number 1 for what you've done for Salesforce, because the internal deployment is heralded as best practice, but also I think thank you for not resisting the change. You've been a services business with Salesforce for many years, but you've shifted from delivery in years to delivery in weeks and days, and that's what we need. People who are resistant to where we need to go, they're not going to make the transition. So thanks for what you're doing there.
And I think that's the point that you've raised there is really, really critical. We've decided we want to become the number 1 Agentic enterprise Salesforce partner, and we've had to make really deliberate decisions. It's difficult for us to shift, right? From all the cloud practices that we've had and become Agentforce first, and so it's a real conscious shift that we've made. And no, thank you for Salesforce's and your personal support in every bit that we've achieved so far and where we go next. So,
Pleasure.
Awesome.
You're welcome.
So David, enough of the serious chat.
Yeah.
It's that we normally do, like downstairs in the drift, have a little bit of fun, right?
Yeah.
So it's the lightning round. So, AI in 2026.
Yeah.
Evolution or revolution?
I mean, 100% revolution. Like, we're starting to ship product on a monthly basis. I mean, you and I used to sell the 3 annual releases as a massive differentiator, and now we're shifting product on a monthly basis with everybody using these AI coding agents to build product. I just think over the next 12 months, what we see change will be more than we've ever seen before. So revolution, 100%.
So, second question.
Yeah.
What's the biggest barrier for customer entry? Is it budget or is it bandwidth?
I don't know if it's either. I mean, what I see the most. I mean, everyone's got budget from the CEO to do an AI project. Everybody has to do it. But it's more leadership, I think, and confidence, isn't it, than it is skills or people or scale or bandwidth. So I think leadership rather than budget or bandwidth. It's like people who want to go and try it and do it and keep iterating and keep learning are the ones who are going to succeed.
So following on from that, right, because that was a good answer, finish my sentence. Agentic enterprise transformation fails when?
When we build islands. I think when we talked about single cloud skills driving you down one route. The answer is Service Cloud. What's the question? I see it all of the time. So I think when we build islands and we don't sell the end-to-end value of the platform, we're going to set ourselves up to fail. So I'd finish your sentence that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what about the agentic enterprise is not about technology, it's about
outcomes.
That's a good one.
You agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
We're trying to get better at it as Salesforce, but instead of selling SKUs and products and price lists, sell the end outcome that we're going to deliver together.
Okay, a bit of a leading one. A great Salesforce partner should,
I think, challenge Salesforce. I remember one of our first interactions where I was bringing all of my best practices that I'd learned from a different vendor, and you were quite quick to challenge me that it didn't work like that here, and so right to do so. And I think what you're learning with the customers is what Salesforce need to learn from. So I think a great partner is someone who challenges the status quo, doesn't just accept what Salesforce says, and we learn and we grow together.
Yeah, I mean, just it's a really privilege to work here for so long and to work with our customers, and then to come on this side of the fence. It's actually challenge Salesforce and also challenge ourselves, but challenge the customer as well.
Definitely.
Never a time like that.
Yeah.
So businesses today are underestimating.
I don't think we're underestimating the impact AI is going to have. I mean, everybody thinks it's going to be the biggest impact to our business. Every CIO Gartner scorecard you read, it's top of the list, isn't it? But I think they're probably underestimating how much they can achieve with what they've already got. If they just did something, I think there's so much fear, so much risk aversion that they don't try anything in reality. And I think it's the when you kind of completely constrained by fear and risk that you don't do anything. I think that's the biggest challenge I see out there.
Yeah, and I think by the way, the byproduct of that is actually there's been this hiatus created because of the first perceived waves of failures or paralysis, right? So, and that's a good one.
Yeah. Like our help agent, our help agent on Salesforce.com, we went live in months, but it wasn't perfect. But it's how you iterate and how you learn and how you make it better and how you fully commit to not just rolling out a POC that you leave and hopefully it works, but how you continue down the journey, of continuous innovation that I know you talk a lot about.
Well, I think that's the big thing about Agentic. Building an agent is not just a one-time thing. You're going to evolve it, you're going to add more skills to it and all those kind of things. And so the relationship has to be an ongoing, and you have to build that capability, as you said, the COE inside, to kind of add more skills to it and own that life cycle. So right, choosing the right partner means?
Well, if you choose the right partner, I think it will ensure project success. De-risk, and you should, with the right partner, get the best out of Salesforce. You should improve your internal skills to where they need to be, and you should get project success, I think.
And I think the important thing is, which is what we do together, but you ensure the customer does, is doesn't get dependency, right?
Yeah.
It's about building the self-enduring internal muscle to be successful.
Definitely.
And then lastly, if you had to mute one buzzword this year, what would that be?
I think, obviously, as a service leader, I think I'd say omni-channel, because the customers don't care anymore which channel they use to communicate with you. They just want convenience and a relationship with you. And so I think being obsessed with channel and channel of choice and providing channel choice and omni-channel is the buzzword that'll probably start to go away as customers just look for convenience and better relationships, so get rid of omni-channel, Sean, if you can.
Cool. So it's quite incredible to think that really was pretty much 80% of the thing that we talked about with customers pretty much only 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. So it shows you the rate of change.
Exactly.
If you was to replace that with something, what would you replace it with?
I think something like conversational intelligence, where whether I'm speaking to a human, an agent, or a human who's supported by an agent, it feels like a natural conversation rather than me waiting for minutes or hours for the poor service professionals out there to flip frantically between screens to get the answers. It should feel natural, whether it's an agent or a human. And
I'd add one thing to that: autonomous business.
yeah, 100%. But that's where you are, isn't it, with
Yeah.
Agent Force operations? But
So David, we could no doubt, as always, talk all day about all this stuff. So I'd like to personally thank you for your time and all of the incredible insight that you've shared with us today.
well, thank you on behalf of Salesforce for everything OSF is doing. I'm loving the partnership, Sean.
Brilliant. So for everybody watching, if you'd like to learn more about how OSF Digital and Salesforce are executing on the Agentic Enterprise and the future of service, you can click on the link below.
Thank you for listening to Let's Talk Business Transformation by OSF Digital. Follow us for more episodes and visit OSF Digital to learn more.